I sat in a doctor's office at 57 years old, and he turned a computer screen toward me and showed me a picture of my liver, and I didn't recognize it. I'd seen pictures of livers before, in school, in health class. They're supposed to be smooth, dark red, almost shiny. Mine looked like a rock someone pulled out of a river, gray, lumpy, scarred. The doctor pointed at it and said, "This is cirrhosis. This is what 25 years of drinking does." And I sat there staring at a picture of my own organ, an organ I'd been poisoning every single day for a quarter century, and for the first time in my life, I understood what I'd done to myself. My name's Dennis. I'm 68 years old. I've been sober for 11 years, and I want to tell you what alcohol does to your body. Not the hangover, not the headache, not the rough morning. I mean what it actually does, deep inside, to the parts of you that you can't see. The parts that are rotting while you're pouring another glass and telling yourself you're fine. Let me take you through it, year by year, organ by organ, the way I lived it. I started drinking at 19, nothing unusual, college, parties, beer, everybody drank. I wasn't different from anyone else. A few beers on Friday, a few more on Saturday. Wake up Sunday feeling rough, eat some eggs, go to class Monday. Normal. That's the word everyone uses. Normal. But here's what's happening inside you during those normal years that nobody talks about. Every time you drink, your liver has to process the alcohol. That's its job. It breaks it down, filters it out, keeps you alive. And when you're 19 and you drink a few beers on the weekend, your liver handles it fine. It was built for occasional use, like a backup generator. Turn it on when you need it, turn it off when you don't. But I didn't turn it off. I just kept it running. And by the time I was 25, I was drinking every day. Not getting drunk every day, just drinking. A beer after work, 2 beers after work, a whiskey before bed. Nothing that felt like a problem. But my liver was working overtime, every single day. No breaks, no recovery time. And it was starting to show damage that I wouldn't know about for another 20 years. By 30, I was a serious drinker. 4, 5, 6 drinks a day, sometimes more on weekends. Linda would say something about it every once in a while. "You're drinking a lot, Dennis." I'd tell her to relax. I'm fine. My body seemed fine. I could still work, still lift, still run around with Danny in the backyard. But here's what was happening inside. The liver. At this point, I had what they call fatty liver disease. I didn't know it. Nobody told me. There were no symptoms, no pain, nothing. But the alcohol was causing fat to build up in my liver cells. The organ was getting bigger, heavier, slower. Think of it like a filter that's getting clogged. It still works, but it's working harder than it should. And every drink adds another layer of grime. The stomach. Alcohol irritates the lining of your stomach. After 10 years of daily drinking, that lining starts to wear thin. I started getting acid reflux around 32, burning in my chest after meals. I popped Tums like candy, thought it was stress. It wasn't. It was my stomach lining being slowly eaten away by the alcohol I was pouring into it every night. The doctor gave me a prescription for the reflux, never asked how much I drank. The brain. This is the one that scares me the most, because you don't feel it happening. Alcohol kills brain cells. That's not a slogan, that's biology. Every drink, every night, for years, you're losing neurons. You're shrinking the parts of your brain responsible for memory, decision-making, emotional regulation. By my mid-30s, I was forgetting things, small things, where I put my keys, what I had for dinner yesterday, conversations I'd had with Linda that I had no memory of. She'd say, "We talked about this on Tuesday." I'd have nothing. Blank. I blamed it on being busy, on stress, on getting older. I was 35. I wasn't old. My brain was just being slowly dissolved by the thing I put in it every night. By 40, my body started sending signals I couldn't ignore, but I ignored them anyway. My blood pressure was high, 150/95 at a routine checkup. The doctor put me on medication. Didn't ask about my drinking. I didn't volunteer. The pills brought it down, but the alcohol kept pushing it back up. So he increased the dose, then added another medication. I was taking 2 blood pressure pills to counteract the damage of something I was doing to myself every night, and nobody connected the dots. Or if they did, they didn't say anything. My sleep was destroyed. People think alcohol helps you sleep. It doesn't. It sedates you. There's a difference. Sedation is not sleep. When you pass out from drinking, your brain doesn't go through the normal sleep cycles. You skip the deep restorative stages. You skip REM. You wake up after 8 hours feeling like you got 3. Every morning I was exhausted. For years, decades. I thought that's just what getting older felt like. It wasn't. It was what being a functioning alcoholic felt like. My heart. This is the one they don't put on the warning labels. Long-term alcohol use weakens the heart muscle. It's called alcoholic cardiomyopathy. Your heart gets bigger and weaker. It can't pump blood as efficiently. I started getting short of breath around 45, walking up a flight of stairs and needing to stop at the top, carrying groceries from the car and feeling my heart pounding in my ears. The doctor did an EKG, said my heart was slightly enlarged, put me on another medication, still didn't ask about my drinking. Or maybe he did and I lied. I can't remember. That's the brain damage talking. The pancreas. At 47, I woke up one night with the worst pain I've ever felt in my life. Not my back, not my stomach. Somewhere behind my stomach, deep, radiating, like someone had reached inside me and was squeezing an organ I didn't know I had. Linda drove me to the ER. They ran tests. Acute pancreatitis, inflammation of the pancreas, caused by alcohol. The doctor in the ER was the first person in 25 years of drinking to look me in the eyes and say, "You need to stop drinking. Your pancreas is telling you it's done." I was in the hospital for 4 days. IV fluids, no food, nothing by mouth. The pain was unreal. They gave me morphine and it barely touched it. When they finally let me eat, it was clear broth. I felt like I'd been gutted from the inside. I went home. I stopped drinking. For 11 days. Then I poured myself a whiskey because my back was hurting, and I told myself one drink wouldn't matter. That's the thing about alcoholism. Your brain has been rewired. It doesn't process risk the same way anymore. A normal person would have an organ inflame and think, "I'm never drinking again." An alcoholic has an organ inflame and thinks, "One drink won't hurt." It's insanity, literal insanity, and you don't even know you're insane. The skin. Nobody talks about this one either. Alcohol dehydrates you from the inside out. After 20+ years, your skin pays for it. My face looked 10 years older than it should have. Deep lines, broken blood vessels on my nose and cheeks. That redness that people associate with old men. It's not age, it's alcohol. The blood vessels in your face dilate every time you drink. After years of that, they stay dilated, permanently. You look flushed all the time, swollen. People would look at me and see a 50-year-old man who looked 60. I'd look in the mirror and not recognize the person staring back, but I'd still pour a drink. The bones. Alcohol interferes with calcium absorption. After decades of drinking, your bones get thinner, weaker. I fell off a ladder at 52, broke my wrist. The doctor said the break was unusual for the fall. The bone should have held. He did a density scan. Osteopenia, the stage before osteoporosis. At 52, in a man. That's almost unheard of at that age unless something is stripping the calcium out of your bones. Something like a fifth of whiskey every 2 days for 25 years. The immune system. I was sick all the time. Every cold, every flu. If someone at work sneezed, I was in bed for a week. Linda used to joke that I caught everything. It wasn't funny. Alcohol suppresses your immune system. White blood cells don't work as well. Your body can't fight infections the way it should. I was walking around with the immune system of a man 20 years older because I'd been poisoning the system that was supposed to protect me. The nerves. By my mid-50s, my hands tingled. My feet went numb sometimes. I'd drop things, a coffee cup, my keys, a pen. My doctor called it peripheral neuropathy, nerve damage, caused by alcohol and the vitamin deficiency that comes with it. Because when you're drinking every day, you're not eating right. You're not absorbing nutrients. Your body is so busy processing the poison that it forgets to do the basic maintenance. The nerves in your hands and feet start to die, and they don't come back. I'm 68 years old and I still can't feel my left pinky finger. That's permanent. That's mine to keep. And then there's the liver, where we started, where it all ends up. At 57, my doctor ordered a full blood panel. My liver enzymes were through the roof. He sent me for an ultrasound, then a CT scan. Then he sat me down in his office and turned the screen around. Cirrhosis, stage 3. My liver was scarred beyond repair, not failing yet, but damaged in a way that could never be undone. The tissue that was scarred would never regenerate. The organ that had been filtering my poison for 25 years had finally given up trying. He showed me the images, compared them to a healthy liver on his computer. The difference was horrifying. Like looking at a photo of a burned building next to the same building before the fire. That used to be you, I thought. That smooth, healthy organ used to be inside you, and you killed it, one drink at a time. He told me if I kept drinking, I'd be dead in 2 years. Maybe less. Liver failure. The liver stops filtering. Toxins build up in your blood. Your brain swells. Your skin turns yellow. Your abdomen fills with fluid. You bleed internally, and then you die. That's the road I was on. I'd love to tell you that was the moment I stopped. It wasn't. I drank that night, sat in the garage with a bottle and thought about what he'd shown me and drank anyway. Because that's what addiction is. It's not stupidity. It's not weakness. It's a brain that has been so fundamentally altered by a substance that it will choose the substance over survival. I knew I was dying. I had pictures of the proof, and I still drank. Those 4 months between the diagnosis and the day I finally stopped were the darkest of my life, because now I was drinking with full knowledge of what it was doing. Before, I could pretend. I could tell myself it wasn't that bad, that my body could handle it. But now I had evidence, medical imaging, a doctor's voice in my head saying 2 years, and I'd still pour a glass every night and sit in that garage and drink it. Sometimes I'd look at my hands wrapped around the glass and think, these hands are killing me. And then I'd take a sip. That's the insanity of it. You become a witness to your own destruction, and you can't stop it. I started having symptoms I couldn't hide. My ankles were swelling, fluid retention. My liver wasn't processing things properly anymore. I'd press my thumb into my shin, and the dent would stay for 30 seconds. Linda noticed. She noticed me wearing long pants in the summer. She noticed me wincing when I stood up. She noticed the yellow tinge around my eyes that I tried to explain away as tiredness. Danny called one night during those months. Just a regular check-in call. He said, "Dad, you sound tired." I said I was fine. There's that word again, fine, the most dangerous word in the English language. He said, "Mom says you've been looking rough." I told him not to worry. He said, "I'm not worried, Dad. I'm just telling you what I see." He was 26. He'd already started pulling away, already building the distance that would grow into years of silence later. And I was too busy dying to notice. I stopped 4 months later, not because of the liver, because of Linda. She came into the garage one night, found me with the bottle. She didn't yell, she didn't cry. She'd stopped doing both years ago. She just looked at me and said, "Dennis, I can't watch you die. If you won't stop for yourself, I need you to stop so I don't have to find you dead in this chair." Something about the way she said it, the tiredness in her voice. Not anger, just exhaustion. 25 years of exhaustion. I put the bottle down that night. I haven't picked one up since. The withdrawal almost killed me, and I mean that literally. When you've been drinking as heavily as I was for as long as I was, you can't just stop. Your body has been running on alcohol like fuel. Take it away and the whole system short circuits. The first day was shaking, bad shaking, like my whole body was vibrating. The second day was sweating and vomiting. By the third day I was hallucinating, seeing things on the walls, hearing voices. Linda drove me to the ER. They admitted me immediately. Delirium tremens, DTs. The nurse told Linda that without medical intervention, DTs can be fatal. Seizures, heart failure. I spent 5 days in the hospital on IV fluids and benzodiazepines to keep my brain from seizing. 5 days to safely remove a substance I'd spent 25 years putting in. The recovery. Let me be honest about this. Sobriety didn't fix what I'd broken. My liver didn't heal. The scarring is permanent. I go for checkups every 6 months, blood work, ultrasounds. The doctor monitors it. It hasn't gotten worse, which is the best news I can hope for. But it hasn't gotten better either. It never will. My blood pressure is still managed with medication. My heart is still enlarged. The neuropathy in my hands and feet is still there. The memory issues are better but not gone. There are years of my life, whole years, that I can't recall. Danny's childhood, Rachel's teenage years, gone. Not faded like old memories, just absent, like pages torn out of a book. That's what alcohol took from my brain. Not just cells, memories, experiences, moments with my kids that I'll never get back because my brain wasn't recording them. It was too busy being poisoned. Rachel came to visit me a few weeks after I got out of the hospital. She brought flowers, sat on the couch and held my hand. She said, "Dad, you look different." I said, "I feel different." She said, "No, I mean your eyes. They look clear. I haven't seen them look like that since I was little." That broke me, because she was right. She'd spent her entire adolescence looking into the foggy, glazed-over eyes of a drunk, and she remembered what they looked like before. She'd been holding on to that memory of her sober father since she was a child, waiting for him to come back. I'm 68 now. I function. I get around. I'm not in a wheelchair. I'm not on dialysis. I'm not dead. And by all medical logic, I should be at least one of those things. My doctor told me I got lucky. Not clean. Lucky. Because the damage I did should have killed me. It kills most people who do what I did for as long as I did it. Here's what I want you to know. When you pour a drink, you're not just having a drink. You're making a decision about every organ in your body. Your liver, your heart, your brain, your pancreas, your stomach, your bones, your nerves, your skin, your immune system. Every one of them takes a hit. And for a while they absorb it, they compensate, they cover for you. But one day they stop covering. And when they stop, the bill comes due all at once. And it's a bill you can't pay. I sat in that doctor's office and looked at a picture of what I'd done to myself. A gray, lumpy, scarred organ that used to be healthy, that used to work, that I destroyed one drink at a time over 25 years. And I want you to see that picture in your mind right now. Because if you're drinking every day, that picture is forming inside you, right now, whether you feel it or not. I'm 68 years old. I've been sober for 11 years. My body is permanently damaged. My liver will never recover. My brain will never get those memories back. My hands will never stop tingling. But I'm alive. And every morning I wake up and don't drink is a morning I wasn't guaranteed. If you're drinking every day and telling yourself you're fine, you're not. I was fine for 25 years, right up until a doctor showed me a picture that proved I was dying. If this story hit you, subscribe to the channel. Leave a comment. Tell me your story. And if you're drinking right now and you're scared, good. Be scared. Fear might be the thing that saves your life. It was too late to save my liver, but it wasn't too late to save me.